You are watching True Crime Secrets. Join me as we explore the dark side of human nature. Today we will be taking a look at the case of a seemingly perfect family whose life was shattered by a crime that sent shockwaves around the world. So let's begin. On August 13, 2018, Shanann Watts posted this photo on her Facebook page with the caption, "Ready for a date night with my sweetie." It was the last time she would ever post. 3 days later, her lifeless body, along with the bodies of her 2 daughters, would be found in a remote area near an oil field where her husband Chris worked. Their deaths shook the nation and raised questions about the dark secrets lurking beneath the surface of what appeared to be a typical American family. Before we delve into the chilling details of this case, take a moment to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support means everything to us. Let us now retrace the steps leading up to this tragic event and explore the lives of those involved. Chris Watts, a 33-year-old divorced father of 2, resided in a modest brick house in Frederick, Colorado with his second wife Shanann, a bubbly and outgoing woman who worked as a labor and delivery nurse. Together they had 2 daughters, 4-year-old Bella and 2-year-old Celeste. Chris's life was deeply intertwined with his work in the oil and gas industry, often requiring him to work long and irregular hours. This arrangement left Shanann as the primary caregiver for their 2 daughters, as well as a newly conceived son named Nico. Despite the demanding schedule, the couple appeared happy and fulfilled, projecting an image of a typical American family. However, beneath this facade, cracks were beginning to show. Shanann yearned for more traditional gender roles, expressing a desire for Chris to take on a greater share of domestic responsibilities. This tension was further complicated by the arrival of Nico, as Shann's pregnancy brought both excitement and strain on their relationship. Chris, on the other hand, felt overwhelmed by the prospect of another child and worried about the financial implications it would bring. His focus remained primarily on his career, leaving Shanann increasingly frustrated by what she perceived as a lack of support from her husband. As the weeks passed, the couple's arguments became more frequent, causing a rift between them that neither could seem to bridge. Tensions came to a boiling point when Shanann decided to move back in with her parents, bringing their 2 daughters with her. Despite the physical separation, the couple remained legally married and continued to co-parent their children. However, the underlying issues that had driven them apart were far from resolved. In the weeks preceding the tragedy, whispers of discontent began to circulate among their friends and neighbors. Those who knew the couple closely noticed a change in their demeanor and sensed that all was not well. But as is often the case, the true extent of their problems remained hidden from view. On August 13, 2018, Shanann posted pictures of herself and her 2 daughters on Facebook, captioning them with a heart emoji. In the photos, she and the girls were dressed in matching pajamas, their smiles radiating joy and innocence. Little did anyone know that these images would be the last taken of the 3 alive. Later that evening, Shanann returned home after spending the day with her parents. As she pulled into the driveway, she couldn't shake off the feeling that something wasn't right. The atmosphere seemed heavy, and an unsettling sense of dread washed over her. When she stepped out of her car, she noticed that the garage door was open and their 2 dogs were missing. Confused and slightly concerned, she walked toward the front door, each step echoing her unease. Meanwhile, Chris was at work when he received a troubling phone call from one of his supervisors. He was informed that there had been a significant amount of activity on his bank account, specifically a transfer to Shanann's account. Concerned about the situation, Chris contacted his wife to inquire about the transaction. Shanann, unaware of the suspicious activity, responded defensively, questioning why he would be monitoring their finances. Caught in a web of deceit, she had been secretly raiding Chris's account to fund her lavish lifestyle and cover the cost of cosmetic procedures. The argument quickly escalated, intensifying the already strained relationship. Determined to confront his wife about the issue, Chris rushed home, eager to seek answers. As he pulled into the driveway, his eyes met Shannon's through the window. What happened next would have unimaginable consequences. As Chris stepped into the house, a fierce argument erupted between him and Shanann. Words were exchanged, accusations hurled, and the tension thickened, threatening to shatter the fragile peace of their fractured marriage. Amidst the escalating chaos, Shanann made a shocking revelation. She accused her husband of infidelity, claiming that she knew about his affair. Blindsided by the accusation, Chris found himself trapped in a nightmare of his own making. The truth of his infidelity, which he had managed to keep hidden, was now exposed, casting a dark shadow over their already tumultuous relationship. Consumed by fear and desperate to protect his reputation, Chris lashed out at Shanann. In a fit of rage, he attacked her, his actions fueled by a terrifying mix of anger and panic. As the fight intensified, Chris's emotions spiraled out of control. Driven by a primal instinct for self-preservation, he strangled Shanann, unaware that he had just crossed the point of no return. In a chilling display of calculated precision, Chris disposed of Shanann's body, meticulously concealing evidence to hide his crime. Her lifeless form was found days later in a remote area near an oil field where he worked. The discovery sent shockwaves through the community, leaving everyone searching for answers. As the investigation into Shanann's disappearance deepened, a horrifying truth emerged. The police uncovered evidence linking her husband, Chris Watts, to the crime. Initially, he had woven a tale of deceit, claiming that Shanann had left him and the children. But as the net tightened around him, his story began to unravel. Confronted with irrefutable proof of his guilt, Chris confessed to the crime, revealing the depth of his depravity. The motive behind the heinous act was as chilling as the crime itself. Chris, consumed by his desire for a life free from the constraints of his marriage, had ended Shanann's life to secure a future with his mistress. The weight of his actions became evident as he was sentenced to 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole, ensuring that he would never walk free. As the community grappled with the magnitude of the tragedy, the haunting details of the case continued to unfold. Investigators discovered that Chris had not only murdered his wife, but also their 2 innocent daughters, Bella and Celeste. Their bodies were found buried in shallow graves near the oil field, a grim testament to the extent of his brutality. The news of the children's involvement sent shockwaves of horror and disbelief throughout the nation. How could a father be capable of such unspeakable acts? The senseless loss of young lives shook the community to its core, leaving parents and residents alike grappling with the terrifying reality of the crime. The trial that followed was a gripping display of justice in action. Prosecutors meticulously presented the evidence against Chris, leaving no doubt about his guilt. The graphic details of the crime and the heartbreaking testimonies of those close to the case sent chills down the spines of all who listened. In a dramatic turn of events, Chris Watts pleaded guilty to all charges, sparing the families of the victims the ordeal of a lengthy trial. The prosecution's case was so airtight that he had little choice but to confess his guilt. The weight of the evidence against him was overwhelming, leaving him with no hope of a successful defense. The community united in grief, coming together to honor the memory of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste. Memorial services were held, flowers and candles were placed at makeshift memorials, and the outpouring of love and support for the victims was truly heartwarming. It was a somber reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. As the community began to heal, the question of justice loomed large. Calls for the death penalty grew, with many demanding the ultimate punishment for Chris Watts. However, due to legal technicalities, he ultimately received 5 life sentences without the possibility of parole. In the aftermath of the sentencing, the community grappled with a sense of closure while recognizing that the scars of this tragedy would forever remain. Support groups were formed to help those affected by the crime cope with their trauma and seek solace in shared experiences. The strength found in unity was remarkable, but the journey to healing was far from easy. As the years passed, the memory of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste continued to inspire change within the community. Advocacy groups were established to raise awareness about domestic violence and the importance of seeking help in abusive relationships. Awareness campaigns were launched, educational programs were implemented, and hotlines were set up to provide support and resources to those in need. The impact of this tragedy extended far beyond the immediate community, resonating with people across the country and sparking conversations about mental health and seeking professional help. Support for law enforcement and first responders also grew as people recognized the immense toll such traumatic cases took on those serving on the front lines. Memorials were created, fundraising efforts were undertaken, and appreciation and gratitude were expressed for the dedication and courage of the men and women who put their own safety aside to serve and protect. In the face of such darkness, the power of unity, compassion, and remembrance shone through, reminding everyone that even in the darkest of times, hope and healing could be found. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, Don't forget to like and subscribe for more captivating content. Until next time.